Hello everyone, I am Lokesh and welcome back to the channel. Friends, this video is basically on Infytq programming fundamental using Python part 2 course. Basically in the first part we complete most of the topic. In this video we complete most of the topic that are related to the Infytq programming fundamental using part 1, and this is the part 2 in which we have to study the following modules or following part that are given in this, like functions and arguments, variable and scope, unit testing, exception handling, recursion, file handling, and etc. And these are the some topics that are related to the Infytq qualifier round exam also. And these are the some advanced topic. So this is my handwritten notes that I already shared in the first video, and this is second part of notes of 14 pages. In this all the content of second part will be shared in this note. So let's start the video. And if you don't see if you not see the first programming series or first part of video, you can see just by go to this link. I will share link in the description. Okay, so let's start the video. What are the some topics that are given on the Infytq second part, that are function and argument? As I already discussed functions in previous video, but again I discussed in this video. What is the function? A function is a block of code which only runs when it is called. Okay, so we can pass data as parameter into function. A function can data return itself. You can see that from this. If you want to define a function, we use def keyword, and this is the function name and this is the parameter. This is the function definition where actually function definition reside. And at the end, when we call the function, as a function returns something because we want to perform some operation, and there is a block of code when it is executed or run, so it is called. Okay, so this is function call. This is basically function call, and in this we pass argument. Okay, so by default a function must be called with correct number of argument. Like if you want to pass the value of n1, what is the value of n1? N1 value is 2, so 2 into 8 is equals to 16. So by default function must be called with correct number of argument, meaning if your function expect 2 arguments, you have to call the function with 2 arguments, not more and not less. So this is very important concept, that if you want to call the function and there is 2 number of parameters that you given in the function first, and after you call with the 3 arguments, so this is not the correct way to call the function. If you want to call function, pass a right number of argument in the function call. Okay, so you can see that. So if you want, there is some advanced topic in the function argument. There is advanced topic function arguments called what is the argument and types of arguments and many. You can see that what are the argument, behavior, argument to function, type of argument. So let's see first. Okay, what do you mean by arbitrary argument? There is a concept in function that are called arbitrary argument. If we don't know how many argument that will be passed into our function. Okay, so if we don't know how many argument or how many number of argument that are passed in the function, so we just want to add star before the parameter name in function definition. We have just to put star before the parameter name that is given in the function, so it is called the arbitrary argument. This way function will receive a tuple of argument. This is very easy concept, and this is very easy explanation solution, because if we don't know the actual number of argument that are coming in our function or at the time of calling, so we have to put a star in front of parameter that is given in the function definition. So it is very useful for multiple number of argument that come, and there is no problem at all. Okay, so you can see that from this, like if we want to pass many argument as many, so we just put the stars. And there is an example, we have to define function, like define Lokesh and star kids. So what do you mean by star? Star is arbitrary argument. That means many number of argument that are passed in the function call, and there is no effect of all, because there is a concept that we already read, that if no number of lesser and no number of more are passed in the argument. So this is the concept of arbitrary argument. What do you mean by keyword argument? Keyword argument is generally keywords argument. We can also send key value syntax. This way order of argument not matter. If we want to not maintain the proper order of argument in the function call, so we just use the keyword argument, that is key value syntax. If we want to add keyword argument, so we can use the asterisk operator, double star. You can see that if we add this side, so we do not maintain the proper order of argument. Okay, so if we, there is also concept that default parameter value. If we call a function without argument, it uses default value. Like just that there is a function that is defined n1 is equals to 8 Lokesh and return n1. So what is the value of n1? We have not passed the any argument or any value to the function call. So what the value resides here? It uses the default value. So these are the some concept that are related to the function. As you can already understand what are the some argument and what are the parameter. Okay, so these are the called argument, means information can be passed into function as argument. A function information can be passed into function as argument. Argument are specified after function name inside parenthesis. We can add many argument, just separate with comma. This is information argument. You can see that, and this is the basically operations or example. You can see that as you want to passing a list as an argument or some other point, you can also check that. So this is basically on the function and argument. You can check from the previous notes, means this note is also link is in description. I will share my blog link, that will all the resources are on the blog. You can just access by clicking on the link. So what is the next topic? The next topic is variable and scope. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic and see what are the variable and scope. What do you mean by variable? Variable is the name of memory location where we store data. As you want to store data, we have to specify the name of that data, or we can say that name of the, so we have to define by the variable. So there are the two type of variable which we can use in the program. First is global variable and local variable. As I already discussed in the previous video this concept, but this concept is important to understand for advanced topic, and what is the actual use of the global keyword and what is the actual use of scope. Okay, so what do you mean by local variable? Local variable are those variable that which are created inside a function. They are created when owning function start execution. Means there is a function, and if you want to create there is a function, and if you want to create, this is a function, and if you create the variable in this and just print my function, so it print the value of x is equals to 300, because it is local variable and it is only accessible inside that function. So it is the actual meaning of local variable, that are variable which are created inside a function and used can only inside that function. They can be accessed only inside that function. Global variable are those variable which are created outside of function. Means if you want to create global variable, so this is the type of global variable, x is equals to 300. This is global variable, and they are created when the program execution start. They can be read anywhere in the program within a function or outside. Means it can be used function, they are read anywhere in the program like function outside and inside. Okay, so these are the some basic this is the basic diagram that is given on the Infytq website reference. Like if we have a program and this is the function, so the variable that belongs to the inside that function is called local variable, and the function that are the variable that are not belong to the anyone, means it can be read from anywhere inside the function, outside of the function, that is called global variable. So this is the basic diagram. What do you mean by scope? Okay, so we understand what is the variable and what are the two types of variable. So what do you mean by scope? A variable is only available from inside the region it is created. Means sometimes we created a variable and it is only accessible from its region, not from the other region or the other part. So this is called scope, where we access the data from particular inside region. So what do you mean by local scope and global scope? So what do you mean by local scope? A variable created inside a function belongs to local scope of that function. can only be used inside that function. That is just similar to the local variable. Okay, so this is the basic example that we already discussed. What do you mean by global scope? Global scope is a variable created in main body of Python code. This is the main body of Python code, is a global variable and belong to the global scope, and it will be belong to the global scope. Global variable are available from within any scope like global and local. If we want to access from the global variable, and so we have to just implement we have a new concept called a global keyword. If we want to use the global variable inside the scope also, so we will need the help of global keyword. By the help of global keyword, we make global variable inside the scope also, because global variable are read can from anywhere, but for accessing we need to make the variable as called global. So this kind of problems are generally solved by the global keyword. So this is the second concept that we read, what is the variable and scope. Let's move on to the third concept called the unit testing and logic coverage and code review. Okay, so what do you mean by unit testing, logic coverage and code review? So we have written couple of program by now. So we have just writing so many programs in our computer, or just we can say that in our IDLE. Okay, so how do we know that our programs are correct that we written generally? So one way to ask your peer or expert to go through the code and identify if there are any mistake. Okay, so this way of reviewing your code for correctness is known as code review. So what is the actual meaning of code review? The actual meaning of code review is it is the way of reviewing our code for correctness, because we want to maintain the code proper and correct. So it is generally known as the code review. Though there are guidelines for code review, it is possible that the person who is reviewing may miss some things. If you want to review code, so we need some correctness also. Okay, so another way of ensuring that your code is correct is to test the following below step. If you want to ensure that our code is correct, and if you want to test, so we need to follow some step, like we have to first identify variable for input variable and its corresponding expected output variable that are just based on business requirement. Execute, run and program, check whether the output is matching the expected output. If there is match, it means our code is working properly. If not, means that something has gone wrong in code, so we have to fix the code. These are the some steps that are generally used for the code review, that our code is properly ensured or not. Okay, so repeat this cycle with different value of input, because we have to check that our code is properly run or not. Okay, so this way of testing, if the code you are testing is written inside a function, invoke the function with different input value and check whether the return value from function is matching the expected output. We want to check the expected output, and by the help of different values of input we check this part. Okay, so this way of testing your program by yourself is known as unit testing. So what do you mean by actually a unit testing? In unit testing, we just testing our program by ourselves, because we want to check the correctness of code. Okay, so we just discussed the two operations or two techniques of unit testing that we discussed in this part, like path coverage and boundary value analysis. Okay, so this is the some example of maximum luggage weight allowed by the airline that are operate from the airport from go to one place to another place. Okay, so this is the information that are related to the maximum weight that they can carry passengers, regarding the maximum weight they can carry. So this is some airlines, this is some popular airlines, and there are the luggage limit that is already given on the airport. Okay, so what is the logic coverage? The logic coverage is behind the actually implementing the logic that are related to the particular problem. Okay, so we have to first start. And what is the airline? First we have to choose what are the different airline. So what is airline is equals to AI, means airline is equals to AI. So there is some airline is called AI. So if the maximum weight luggage limit is equals to 30, limit is equals to 30, so it will be true, so it will be go to the maximum weight and just stop, or it will be false, so it will be check the another airline. And if it is differ false, it will go to true, so it will go to max weight and this is stop. And if it is false, so if we'll check the another, it will check the another airline condition. So there is a decision 1, decision 2, decision 3. There are the 3 types of logic coverage that are given in the particular problem. So this is related to the path coverage. Moving on to the next concept that are called the boundary value analysis. What if the programmer has written the condition like luggage weight is greater than or equals to 1 and luggage weight is greater than equals to less than 30? Will it work as per the requirement for luggage weight of 30 kg? If our requirement for luggage weight is 30 kg, so this condition is work as per requirement or not? Whenever range says less than 0 and greater than 0 and less than equals to 30, greater than equals to 30, greater than equals to 1 and less than equals to 30, etc., are being written in condition. These are the some conditions that are related to the particular luggage limit. Okay, so we need to exhaustively test, as most of the programmer make error while writing this condition. These are the some condition and we need to find the code correctness. Hence, it may not be sufficient to check with just 2 values that take control to the true and false path alone. This is the logic coverage. You will see the if this is false, then we check the another airline condition. If this is false, then we check the another airline condition. And in the boundary analysis case, in that case, we should test the boundary by considering value, because we want to add the technique. This is the some technique that we are used for the unit testing. So boundary value analysis by considering value on the boundary, above the boundary or below the boundary. These are the some 3 important or key points that are related to the boundary value analysis. The technique of identifying test data on the boundaries. What do you mean by boundaries? The boundaries means is we have to check the particular condition that are related to this condition. Okay, so the technique of identifying test data and on the boundaries is known as boundary value analysis. So just see this diagram. There is a luggage weight is equals to 25 and this is the condition. If luggage weight is greater than or equals to 1 and luggage weight is less than or equals to 30. So this condition is true, check in clear, and this will go to the check in clear. Okay, so next part. And if it is false, check in not clear. So this is the some condition that we are applying to the Air India Airlines, the correct logic of check-in process. The test value we should use for the luggage weight as per boundary value analysis, because in boundary value analysis we take the 3 values on boundary or above, 1 above the boundary or 1 below the boundary. Okay, so this is the concept that are related to the boundary value analysis. You can see the particular conditions. These are the some unit testing technique like logic coverage. Logic coverage is different technique. Boundary value analysis, random generation, error guessing. These are some technique. Moving to the next topic that are related to the Python programming section, that are exception handling in Python. What do you mean by exception handling in Python? When an error occurs, an exception or exception as we call it, Python will normally stop and generate an error message. So there are the 3 blocks that are given in the exception handling, like the try block let you test a block of code for errors. If we want to test code for errors, so we use the try block. The except block lets you handle the error. Okay, so the except block will let you handle the error. The finally block let you execute code regardless result of the try and except block. So this is the some block that are given in the exception handling. Okay, so this exception can be handled using try statement. This is try statement in which we generally test the block of code for error. Okay, in the exception we will handle the error, in the finally block we will execute the code. So see that this condition that there is an exception occurred, this exception can be handling using try statement. There is a try statement, print x, except print, and exception occurred. Since the try block raises an error, so the except block will be executed because we do not declare the value of x. So where is the value of x? So it raises the error and the except block will be executed because there is no error at all in this generally, and message is print like an exception occurred. Without the try block, the program will crash and raise an error. Without the try block, the program will crash and raise an error. So this is the important condition to know. What do you mean by finally block? The finally block, if specified, will be executed regardless if the try block raises an error or not. Finally block have no meaning. Finally block has not meaning to the try block and except block that it will be executed. Try block that it will be raises error or not. Just like it do not print something like we want initialize the value of x. So generally it will not see the any part and just it will print the all the values. Okay, so what do you mean by raise an exception? Raise an exception, as a Python developer, if we want to choose a throw an exception if a condition occur, so to throw or raise an exception we use generally the raise keyword. These are the some built-in exception, and when it will be raised, and these are the example. Python has many kind of error as have predefined as part of the language. Here are some of common type like zero division error, type error, name error, index error, value error. These are the some common error that are given in the that are comes when we run the program or when we execute the program. So when it will be raised, you can see the different condition and what will be the example you can compare by this table. Let's move on to the next concept, that is called the recursion. Or what do you mean by recursion? Recursion means function called by itself is called recursion. You can see that that we discussed in the previous video also, but this is the function called by itself is called recursion. So in the recursion part there are some topics like recursive function and tower of Hanoi problem. So let's consider an example. Human tower is created by man standing on shoulder of the man standing at lower level. Okay, so there is a human tower that is created by men standing on shoulders of the men standing at lower level. Okay, so this man will be created the human tower. It can have any number of levels. So these are the some levels and it can have many number of level. Each level will have two men less than the previous level. Okay, so each level will have two men less than the previous level. Okay, you can see that there is 1 2 3 4 5. So in this only 1 2 3, and there is two member lost, and in this only two member lost, so only one is remaining. However, there will always be one person at top of the tower. Okay, so the one person of top of tower, that means there will always be odd number of men standing at bottom most base level. Okay, so we have to find that what is the some top level and middle level and bottom level. So this is the some example of human tower that is used to understand the what is the use of recursive function. Suppose we want to find the total weight of human tower which has 5 people standing at bottom level. Okay, so we have to find the weight of total weight of human tower which has 5 people standing bottom level. Assume that each person weigh 50 kg and there will always be odd number of men at base level. We can solve this problem recursively. Have a look. Okay, so how we can solve the problem recursively? By the use of recursive function or by the use of recursion concept. So we define the human tower first, and there are the number of people that are generally parameter, and in this we pass the argument. Okay, so what if number of people is equals to 1, return 1 into 50, and else return number of people into 50 plus human tower number of people minus 2. We have to find the exact condition that is given in the particular question. So this is the recursive function call, as we call the function, and if we want to add the some if we want to perform some operation, we call the recursive function call, and else will print this. Okay, so this is human tower. This is human tower related to the because the we want to there is the 5 people standing and each person weigh 50 kg. Okay, so this is the some recursive function call that we also see in the programming section question. So this is the actual concept of recursion function call, that according to the condition there are the recursive function call as long as the condition satisfy. In recursion, two things are most important, very important: termination condition and recursive call. Okay, so what do you mean by termination condition? Termination condition is this, because if this condition is check the all the operation this condition check, and if it is true, so it will go to the next part, or else it will go to the next part. Otherwise there is no meaning of the recursion. So condition termination and the recursive call. Recursive call invoke itself with a smaller argument, and termination condition help to terminate the recursive call. Okay, so we have, if we want to terminate the recursive call, that many number of recursive calls, so we just add this condition or termination condition at this place. So this is the basically concept of recursive function. So the example of recursive function is called Tower of Hanoi problem. Tower of Hanoi is another problem which can be used to learn recursion. This problem was discovered by French mathematician in 1883. There are the rules that we have to move disk to from one tower to another tower or one building to another building. There are some rule like move only one disk at a time, ring must be in decreasing size. For temporary holding disk, the third tower can be used. So this is the some rules that are related to the Tower of Hanoi problem. You can read more through on the Google about that, the Tower of Hanoi problem. So let's finish this video, and there is a last topic that is related to the Infytq Python part. There is also topic called module and packages, and in this only one module is given that are related to the module and packages, as I already discussed in the previous video. So what do you mean by fine handling? Fine handling is as an important part of any web application. It is an important concept that are related to the Python programming. Python has several functions for creating files, reading, updating and deleting file. So what are the some methods that are given to the file, like open file, path operation. This method is used to open the file for specified operation. If we want to use the open the file using specified operation, so we use method open, and what is the file path and operation. And this is some method like close, write and read. The key function for working with files in Python is the open function. Open function is generally used with the Python. The open function takes two parameter, file name and mode. There are 4 different mode for opening a file, like read, append, write, create. These are the some modes that are for opening a file. So this is the file handling, and this is not some so much important for the respective to the exam, but this is for the interview also. But friends, the exceptional handling, recursion, this type of questions are generally asked in the Infytq exam, and this PDF I will share in the link is in description. You can just. Friends, I hope this video is useful for everyone. If you have any doubt, drop your query in comment section. By this video, we finished the Python course that is related to the Infytq part 1 and part 2. So thanks for watching the video.